We talk to God. We talk at God. We talk nonstop. We talk to each other. We complain. We vent. We rattle off our thoughts even to ourselves. We journal. It's all words. But if you can pause, if you can stop speaking, ironic coming from me, I know. But if you can sit in the silence and just listen, you invite God to speak to you. And some of us, I think, don't hear God speaking, not because he's not speaking, but simply because we won't stop talking. There are some lessons that God has taught me, and I feel like I have learned them, and I don't have to keep taking the test, but this is one I just have to keep taking the class over and over and over again. And I'm guessing from all of us sitting here by the nature of what we've been called to do, and the gift of teaching or preaching or speaking or singing or whatever, writing, that can be such a beautiful gift where God uses us and uses words to build others up and to speak his truths and draw people into him. But it's also, when you have that gift, it can be a sword and it can be used to destroy and tear down. And it's such a deep responsibility that we have. And, you know, for me, I think that is one of those lessons I've had to learn again and again and again. And I don't think I have ever fully gotten it like, oh, I've got it dialed in, I don't have to keep taking it. But I will say it's gotten a little bit easier the more that I have practiced it. Mm-hmm. And so I remember this was years ago, probably like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago or so. And I was going through one of those wilderness seasons where it felt like everything was going wrong, but it wasn't like everything was going wrong and I was just mad. It was like God was taking me through something. I could tell. It was going wrong on purpose. It's like he is orchestrating the wrongness.
Absolutely.
And I'm not happy about it, but I know I'm in his will. I'm like, God, what are you doing? And so it's like right and left, I was being either wronged or misunderstood or misrepresented or whatever. Yeah. Now, for anybody that's into the Enneagram, and I don't want to get on that train, but I'm an Enneagram 8. It's very much like justice, like right and wrong, black and white, truth and lie. It's kind of how I see the world. And so for me to feel misunderstood or misrepresented or mistreated, it feels so wrong. And there was one day that I was just crying out to God. I was like, God, all these things are happening. And it's like, it's literally just eating me up inside because I feel like just every single turn, I'm just being wronged. And I felt the Lord speak to me in a very blunt manner. I don't know if he's ever done this with you, but he sure does with me. And he said, Christy, I know that you can stand up and fight, but can you sit down and take it? Mm-hmm. Can you turn the other cheek? Wow. And I was like, oh. Wow. Now, that was a very extreme example where I felt like the Lord taught me that. But I have had different moments of that throughout my entire life because it's one of those things where I just feel like God is reminding me to rein in my tongue. I'm not leading this conversation today because I'm the expert. The irony is that this is the thing I probably struggle with the most. Yeah. It is whether it's rightness or just saying too much. Saying too many things or using too many words when you really just have an opportunity to just be silent and let the moment hang there. And so I think for all of us, I'm curious in y'all's experience, how do you wrestle through that tension? Because in the moment, whatever the thing is, where you want to correct someone or put them in, feel like you've been wronged and you want to clarify, like, no, that's not what I meant. And really it's a moment that just needs silence. Yeah. It's a moment that needs you not saying anything. How do you wrestle with that tension? Because it's a daily thing for me, I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, same. And I really identify because we are the same types. So I'm filled with words, and I love this passage that we're even looking at today, where it says a truly wise person uses fewer words, and I'm like, oh, well, I might be in trouble here, right? Every time I always think of the phrase "less is more." People use that phrase, and I'm like, no, more is more. I want more, right? I want more words. And yet, when I have moments and I've said too much, and my words have just kind of fallen out there, and then I have to pull them back, or I have to say, oh, I'm sorry.
It's the regret.
I didn't mean to say that. That's right. I wasn't really thinking. And what the truth is I wasn't practicing wisdom. Yeah. And so now I try to actually pause before I say something. Like if I can feel myself like revving, if I can feel the heat in my heart, like I have to say something. I almost have to like just give myself the practice of pause, breathe. Do you have to say this?
That's right.
Must you say this? Is now the right time to say this?
Right.
Are you going to have deep regrets
for saying
if you say this, or deep regrets if you don't say this? And I feel like if I work through that funnel of questions, right, I can usually get to the end and I'm like, yeah, you probably should just trust that less is more. Maybe your words are not what are needed in this moment.
If you've ever said too much, first of all, again, you're in good company here. But if you've ever said too much and you feel like you regret things you've said, you went too far, you blew things out of proportion, you gossiped, whatever it is, we've all been guilty of it. Let me just tell you something. The only thing you have to do, there's just one thing, the only thing you have to do to be free from that guilt and regret and burden and worry is just apologize. That's it. You've just got to own it. Just apologize. Say, I'm so sorry I said that. Apologize before the Lord, apologize to the person, whatever the circumstances are. I've had to confess to the Lord before on things that were just between me and him. Sometimes it's between me and another person. Sometimes it's both. But if you just have the humility to go, I was wrong. I'm really sorry. I'm really embarrassed. I regret that. I want to do better. Whatever way makes sense for you, if you just have the humility to apologize, it will set you free. But here's what's so beautiful. Apologizing will be easier next time as well. If you make a slip up, it won't take you 6 weeks to come around to apologize. It might happen a lot faster. So many of us, and I'm very guilty of this, speak before we think. And what you're describing is like you're just stopping and thinking before you say something. And there's such wisdom in just pausing, whether it's that framework or something else, to think through before you say something. Because when we don't, it's what almost always leads to that regret. Yes, and I love the next verse is, even a fool is considered wise if he holds his tongue and he uses few words. And you know, just the other day, because I told y'all this is a daily thing for me. Just the other day, I was just kind of, it was one of those days where I was just in a bad mood. No real reason. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a very positive person, so it's not like me. Yeah. But I was just kind of like, I was just frustrated. It was at the end of a long weekend, and so I'm doing the dishes where it's like, the like violent dish doing. Yes. And my husband came in, and he goes, hey, you want to sit down and have some coffee? I was like, no. Like, he might as well have asked me, like, I don't know, something horrible. Yeah. I was like, no. And he's like, are you mad? I was like, yeah, I am. And I had to pause in that moment, because if I'm not careful, I will take it all out on him. And you, by the way, person who happens to be standing in the doorway, here's my list of complaints. You know, But I didn't. It was one of those rare moments where I was like, okay, I'm just going to stop and not say anything. And what was so amazing is in saying nothing, I was able to get over it. Yeah. And I came back around to him. I was like, I'm frustrated because I make meals that the kids reject and the dog eats. Yeah. I'm frustrated because I clean a house that they mess up 3.5 seconds later. Right. Yeah. I don't mind working hard, but when I work hard for absolutely nothing, it makes me kind of crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm mad. Yeah, I'm mad. I am. Yeah. And I was able to verbalize and not take it out on him. That's good. But it only happened in the pause. Right. I love how you just said that. There's wisdom in that of just stopping. Because you can get that wisdom when you stop. When you don't stop, you can't get it. You can't get it back.
Yeah, the question that I always ask myself when I'm having those moments is I literally just say, okay, what's here now? Mm-hmm. What's here now in this moment? And I literally scan through. I'm like, okay, what are you sensing in your body?
That's good.
Really angry, right? There's a lot of anger here. Right. What are you feeling in your heart? Oh, I'm feeling tension. I'm feeling frustration. I'm feeling overwhelmed. What are you thinking in your mind? Why doesn't anybody eat my food, right? Like, why do I spend all this time? And there's something about coming back into the present moment that actually then gives us presence with people, you know? But so often in your head, when your husband walked in the room, right, you're just rehashing, you know, 2 minutes ago when dinner didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, right?
Well, and just think of all the times that you make a bad moment where it could have been a funny, when it could have been a funny moment.
Yes.
You just think, why didn't I make that funny?
Totally.
Instead of being, you know.
Totally.
That's good.
Laughing it off.
Laughing it off.
Which at some point is all you can do, really. You know?
And it could have been funny, and it could have been light, but because I didn't take that blink. Because all it is it's that choice. It's that blink of an eye. It's that moment that you choose. I'm going to go this way or I'm going to go that way. Right. Choose life.
Yes.
Every time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or even choosing in that moment of like, I have a better idea or a way, babe, that could work even better. Yeah. Instead of like forcing the point, maybe dropping a seed of, babe, have you considered? No, I think I'm going to do this way, leaving it.
Yeah.
Less words instead of like, no, the last time I did it, see, when I, you know what I'm saying?
PowerPoint
exactly. Let me show you, let me tell you why that
she does it so cute.
I know. See, I've done it so wrongly so many times. So the Lord has teach me like, really, sometimes it's just better to say less.
One of the studies that I mentioned this week is Discerning the Voice of God by Priscilla Shirer. And the very first chapter, or the very first week, if you're going through the study, is to listen. She says, just listen. If you want to hear from God, listen. That seems so basic, right? Like, oh yeah, I want to hear from God. I should like listen. But we don't. We talk. We talk to God. We talk at God. We talk nonstop. We talk to each other. We complain. We vent. We rattle off our thoughts even to ourselves. We journal. It's all words. But if you can pause, if you can stop speaking, ironic coming from me, I know. But if you can sit in the silence and just listen, you invite God to speak to you. And some of us, I think, don't hear God speaking, not because he's not speaking, but simply because we won't stop talking. And so there is wisdom, as scripture says, there is wisdom in less words, in the pause, in waiting to hear from the Lord before you move forward. But when he speaks, you better go. But there's wisdom in the pause so you can actually hear from God. He won't yell at you. He won't even shut your mouth, though I wish sometimes he would actually shut my mouth. But if we can be silent before the Lord, he will speak and we will gain wisdom in those moments.
At TBN, our mission is to use every available means to reach as many individuals and families as possible with the life-changing gospel of Jesus Christ.
Thank you for helping make the gospel of grace go around the world.
And it's because of you that partner with us that this ministry continues. God bless you.